Hey y'all, 3 o'clock on the clock up there on the wall, and you are at Rosetree Blown Glass Studio in beautiful, historic Algiers Point, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm Mark, I'm the owner here, and I own it with my wife Brenda, and we're glad that you came. We're making a vase today, and first before we get started, I want to come over here and show you the piece that we made on Thursday. So this is our wave, it's called the Primo Collection, and this is a wavy bowl. See, it's nice blue, nice kind of primary colors, blues and reds and yellows. And I really like, and it's not on white, but you can see the shadows that it casts on here, on like a white table or whatever. It's Primo, hence the name. All right, today we are going to be making a special vase. It is for from our friends Barry and Nancy in New York, and they are giving it to. Okay, Barry, you got to help me. Went right out of my brain. Anyway, they're giving it as a present, and this is part of their present, is to show their people they're giving it to show them how it's made. So it's a whole process, and then getting the piece. And this is kind of something that we could do with our Design Your Own series, which we do have up on our website, where you design your own piece, and I'll do it on a Facebook Live broadcast, and you can have that to show the provenance of the piece, along with a certificate of design by you and execution by me. So, today we're making a peacock vase, a double blue peacock vase. So, pretty much, if you're on a separate viewing, what do we call it, Darcy?
The viewing parties.
Viewing party. That's Darcy behind the camera. If you're on a separate viewing party, if you ask us questions, I don't see that because we're not on your viewing party. But if you have questions, come over to where we are and ask the questions, and we'll try to answer them. As always, we love thumbs up, we love hearts. If you are not a follower of Rosetree, please do. It helps our numbers, which are, it's always good. So, a little hydrate before we start.
And Barry is here and watching.
Barry, who is it for? Joshua, maybe? I'm not sure. He'll tell you. All
There's
right.
a little lag between, yeah.
All right, we're going to go over to the furnace and start the piece up. Start with a blowpipe. The blowpipe is the same tool that glass blowers have been using for over 2,000 years. It's basically a metal rod, and we have rubber and plastic on it. But 2,000 years ago, obviously they did not. Theirs were probably made out of clay. So we use a metal tube, and inside here, this is our furnace. Inside the furnace is called Crucible. Crucible is a big ceramic bowl that holds up to 400 pounds of molten glass. Right now, it's at 2,050 degrees, and that's the temperature where we melt our glass. So I will start with the first layer. Each layer is called a gather, because we're gathering glass onto the blowpipe. So that's our first gather. And it's just clear. Our color will be on the second gather. And you can see that it is a liquid when it comes out. If you stop, it does fall. So we go back to my area. And I'm going to shape it on this steel table. The table is called a marver, and it's used to shape and cool the glass. So what I'm going to do now, the shape is where I want it, and I'm going to blow into the end of the pipe, hold my finger over the end and trap air inside. Call it air trap. And happens is when the cold air hits the hot glass, it heats up and expands, and it pushes against the hot glass because there's nowhere else for it to go because it actually gets bigger. The molecules get bigger. So you see, right there I have my initial bubble, my starter bubble. A little bit more, just to get it a little deeper. And that's my first gather. So my first gather is done. So what we have to do now is we have to wait.
So Barry did say it's for his niece and nephew, Joshua and Erica.
I knew it. Did I say Joshua?
You did.
All right.
You were halfway there.
So, we're waiting. I'm waiting for the color to disappear. See how it's kind of cherry red up top at the tip of the blowpipe? I'm waiting for that cherry red to kind of disappear, and that will tell me it's cool enough, still very, very hot, but cool enough to get the next layer on top. If I put the next layer on right now, this layer won't provide as much stability, and it'll get soft real fast and get kind of floppy. So as always, if you are new, we'd love to hear from you, just to say hello, and where you're from is always good. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer questions about glass. And all other questions, I don't know if I can answer everything, but
You can always try.
I try. I do try.
So far we've got North Carolina, New York, Florida, and Eastern Connecticut.
All right. Welcome, everybody.
Checking in and accounted for. Oh, and Brick, New Jersey.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm setting up for my next layer. My next layer, I'm going to roll into the color and do what's called feathering, which is a decoration technique. So you see the color's pretty much gone. So I'm going to get my next gather on top.
Oh, we got Corey in Colorado checking in.
Corey here to see his piece.
You see your floppy bowl there, Corey? We also have Erin, who's originally from Louisiana. She went to school with Max.
She went to school with?
Max.
Oh, okay, cool. Max sometimes watches. All right, so second layer. Max is my son, for you who don't know. It's layer number 2. You see that there's more glass on top. And we're going to go put some color on this. I'm going to roll through the double blue.
We've got more Louisiana and Beta Springs, and then we've got Redmond, Washington. All right.
And then I'm going to heat the whole thing up and put a little bit more color on. You can only get a certain amount of color on each roll, because once you roll the hot glass over the cold chips, they stick to the glass, but then cold chips won't stick to the cold chips again. So it has to be heated up. That's all the color we're going to put on.
So Erin is asking, how hot is the glass when it comes out?
When it comes out of the furnace, it's 2,050 degrees. Out of here, it's a little bit hotter. You see, it's a little more yellow. If you notice, this is more yellow than the furnace. The furnace has a little bit more orange tinge to it. So red, orange, then yellow, then white is from cooler to hotter. So this is a little bit hotter than the furnace. So this in here is about 2150 to 2200 degrees.
Anthony Billiat was asking if you still have the 2-lane color.
Yes, I do, Anthony. Anthony, actually, Darcy, Anthony used to work for us a long, long time. 20 25 years ago, maybe.
Hi, Anthony.
And Anthony knows how to pack, which is what Darcy's job is. Anthony was in when we had the studio down the street. He wasn't in, excuse me, this studio. I think when we just moved over here, he was in the studio. When we first moved over here.
All right.
And yes, we do have the two-lane color, one of our popular colors.
Aaron's asking, what are we making today?
We are making a double blue peacock vase.
So there's going to be a lot of nice movement in that color in the vase.
So I'm going to feather, which is pulling back the color. It's kind of like if you're baking, it's kind of like what you do on a Neapolitan, except it's a lot hotter. So I'm pulling this all the way back, and then I'm going to heat it up again and pull it the other way. Yeah, Anthony worked for us before we had internet.
I didn't know things existed before the internet.
Before Al Gore invented the internet. Alrighty, now I'm going to pull it down the other way. And then I'm going to kind of put the stripes in the middle on the bottom, because the stripes are going to blow out a little bit different because it's thick and thin. So you want to kind of set it up. You want to always set up your gathers for success, and that would be putting things in the right place. The stripes all the way down the side and all combined in the middle and the bottom.
So Aaron was asking, are you rolling it on the table to keep the shape or to cool it?
I'm sorry?
Are you rolling it on the table to keep the shape or to cool it?
Both. So yeah, we're rolling on the table. The table is a nice solid flat surface, and I can use that depending on what angle I use to shape the glass. Also the cool part of it, the glass, if the walls are the same thickness, the bubble will blow out to whatever's hottest. So I use that to my advantage. I cool certain areas to push the bubble into other areas.
We got people all over Louisiana today.
Wow,
We got
great.
Crown Point, Franklinton, and Berwick.
Welcome.
What?
If any of y'all are new, just let us know. I love when new people come on. And now, because we've done a lot with the decoration, I'm going to put that bubble back in using the air trap again, just because we kind of forced it out. So you see how it's kind of getting fatter right down here? So that tells me that my bubble is about that deep. I'm going to smooth that out one more time.
Lydia wants to know what type of metal or steel the table is. Your
Steel
marker.
is battleship steel. There were shipbuilders getting real close to here, and it was just a dropout of one of the battleships. My joke is that somewhere there's a battleship that has one extra window or 3 extra windows in it. So it's a nice military grade steel. It's not stainless, but it doesn't doesn't rust as easily as normal steel. Alright, so the same thing's going to happen. I have to wait a little bit before I get my last gather, because I don't want the inside to be so hot that when I gather over top of it, it starts to get real wiggly and collapses. So same thing, I'm waiting for the orange at the end of the pipe to kind of cool off a little bit down to a red, and then I'll get my final gather on top. Hydrate.
Always important.
So today actually is not as bad as usually is in the summertime down here.
I'm barely even sweating.
Only about 94 in here. At my bench, hotter over there. And we're getting a little rain actually, which is always good to a degree. So you see that it's not as orange right now, it's more red. So I'm going to go in and get my final gather on top. That is my final gather. And this is called a block. It's made out of wood. And what the wood block does is it doesn't cool the glass as quickly as the marble would. So it gives a little time to move the glass around to where I want it. So at this time I want more of the glass down to the bottom. So when I blow the piece, it won't thin out on the bottom.
Oh, we got somebody who's from Pearl River but is living in Veracruz, Mexico now.
Oh, cool.
Working.
Oh.
All the way from Mexico. That's awesome.
All right, well, that's the farthest viewer today so far.
So Aaron was asking, what is that at the bottom where you're sitting, under where the glass was?
The tray?
Yeah.
The scraps when I cut pieces off. So it's just scraps of glass that land in the tray. So I'm shaping that glass. So the block is in water, it's kept in water. So the grain on the wood soaks the water in and it doesn't burn as much when the hot glass sits inside it being shaped. Alright, so this is the shape I want, and the inside layer that was supported is now soft enough I can start blowing.
So Lydia was asking if you do glass jewelry, like names and things.
I do not.
Now we do have glass jewelry from other artists in the studio or in the gallery, but it's not made here.
Right. I have lots of friends who make beautiful jewelry, and it's a lot easier for me to sell their work than to make jewelry. So I'm blowing into it again, and you'll see that it's starting to poke out a little bit, and I'm using the marber to shape and push the bubble where I want it. So you see I have my bubbles up top, I have some thickness on the bottom, and that's a good thing, as Mark would say. Give it a really good heat, and jack line. And I'll explain to you what a jack line is in just a moment. After I get this set up really nice and even. So the jack line is a line that I'm going to cut into a big crease. I'm going to cut into the top of the vase, which is at the bottom of the pipe, bottom of the blowpipe. And that is going to be where it separates off of the pipe later on when I have to shape the lip. So these are called jacks, and I'm cutting a line. You see something like a groove in the top. A nice deep jack line. And go off the bottom a little bit, keep the whole thing up, and continue blowing again.
So Aaron wants to know, how long did it take you to learn how to do all of this with glass?
It's taken me about 43 years so far.
You never stop learning.
Never stop learning. So I'm going to chill the bottom part of it. But I want to force the bubble to come out toward the shoulder, which is closer to the pipe.
She liked that answer. Never stop learning. Lydia wants to know if we had a website where we can view some of the jewelry. We don't actually have the jewelry on our website since it's not our product. We just have them in studio.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat just the bottom up, and I'm going to use centrifugal force to swing the piece, and what will happen is it'll draw away from the center, which will be my hand, and as I spin it, and it'll lengthen the piece. This is Darcy's favorite because she thinks she's going to get hit with it.
I do. Well, I always have a small fear that it's going to fly off and I'm going to have to duck or run.
You see it's gotten longer. Now I'm going to give it a little air. Shake a little bit more. A little bit more air. Start flattening the bottom. Because you want the base to have a flat bottom. And this is my measurement. I'm a little bit shy, so I'm just going to swing it out one more time after I heat it up.
I should say that I've never actually seen that happen. when you do the baton twirl, that I've never seen a piece come off. So that's just my overactive imagination.
So heating the whole piece, and swing it down just a little, and then do a final shaping on it.
Don't worry, Aaron, he's always in control.
Well, yeah.
She said she would be so nervous doing that or being in the room. I don't really worry about it so much.
I'm a professional, don't try this at home.
Again, he's been learning this for 40 some odd years. He's got that.
Flatten the bottom again because it blew out a little bit. Full height. So you can see the stripes that I pull feathers. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer. So just pulling this a second, because that was hot. So I'm going to transfer this from this pipe to another rod that has a little bit of glass on the end. So you take this whole thing off and shape the lip of the piece. So right now we have lip, shoulder, body, foot. I'm going to put, the foot is done, I'm going to put some more glass onto the foot and transfer it from the pipe to the puntee rod.
Oh, Maggie said that she's made flowers before and it was fun.
We do flowers.
It's always fun, though.
I'm going to hang this up and go get my puntee rod with a little bit of glass on the end. A little bit of glass on the end of the rod, shape it. I'm going to set up a release for later. I'm going to be able to get off the puntee rod also. Stick it on the bottom, center it. This is a file that has diamond impregnated on it. So I'm storing that jackline. So the jackline was put in quite a few moves ago, but this is the reason why I wanted the jackline in and nice and deep. And if everything's correct, you tap, and it comes off. So I'm heating the whole thing up to start, just flashing, and then I'm going to come out and just heat the lip of the piece, because that was the tallest part that just broke off the pipe, and that's actually the part we have to make hottest right now. I'm going to flash the whole thing all the way out, get rid of this pipe that's here, and now do a nice hard heat on the lip.
Barry said the youngins are at work right now, but they have the link and they will watch it after work.
Okay. Any questions while we're making it?
You can always ask questions after, and you can just answer in the comments. Oh no, Erica just corrected him. She is on. They are watching.
Hi, Erica.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Maybe Erica's at work watching.
Oh, maybe.
Pulling a Tory. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just trimming the top of it with some glass scissors called shears, and that's just because the file tends to leave a mark. So I'm going to heat it up and work more on the lip. Flashing the whole piece. If I don't flash the puntee when I'm working on the lip, you can snap off the puntee and fall and start over again. If you flash the puntee too hard, then it fuses on the bottom and takes a big hole out of the bottom. You don't want that either.
Oh, Erin said her family has made bowls with us before, so eventually she would love to make something too.
Yeah, we would love to have people come back in. It's just not, with the whole virus thing, we're just not doing it just yet.
Gotta wait till it's safe, but we will let everybody know as soon as it is.
All right, so now I'm going to shape the lip. It's the open size I want, and I'm going to shape it. looks pretty square, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
Gonna cool that a little bit so it's closer to the temperature of the rest of the piece. And there you have a double blue Peacock vase. So I'm going to flash it one more time and we're going to put it in the oven to cool.
Aaron wants to know, what's your favorite piece you've made?
Usually it's the most recent, because what happens is when you work through a design, you're real excited about that piece coming to fruition. So it's usually the most recent pieces. And I have a couple of things in the works that I'm doing that I haven't unveiled yet, which are really exciting, and I keep you all in suspense for a little bit on those. But I'm really excited about those coming up.
Oh, that one's almost perfect.
This is a torch, and what I'm doing is I'm just hitting the bottom where it was attached with the punchy rod. Oh, you saw how easy it came off? That's because it was set up correctly with the release and the temperature. So I'm just evening that off, and so there's no sharp points on it. And take my big gloves, get a little heat on those, and here's the base.
Hey, Tracy. All right, Erica said that it looks amazing, and they can't wait to see it in person.
Thank you, Erica. So that is a double blue Peacock base, made especially for Joshua and Erica. From Barry and Nancy. And actually that's kind of the way we want to do the designer ovens, is do it with y'all watching. If you go on our website, you can see that you can pick different shapes, different lips, different colors, and you can actually design your own piece. We have somebody else with a question.
Well, everyone's loving the square top, but Corey said you should have made it all square. Challenge yourself.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, look at our design your own. It's a really nice option, because we can't do the blow your owns anymore right now until the whole virus thing gets worked out. So this is the closest we had to having participation in making your own piece. So I'm glad y'all came. Oh, let's talk about the oven for Erica, because she hasn't seen this before. The oven is at 940 degrees or so. And the piece, when it goes into the oven, is hotter than that, and it comes down and cools off to 940 across the whole piece in the oven, and then I put it on a turn down overnight, and it slowly cools down to room temperature so that it relieves any stress in the piece, and any stress it would have run from hot to cold, and it won't crack that way. So that's pretty much the whole piece. As always, thank y'all for coming. A couple of things. If your cities are starting to open up, please support your local galleries, your local stores that carry handmade. Those are the people that support us, and it's a way to get our economy starting to pack up again. So support handmade in the U.S. If you want to support us, we are www.rosetreegallery.com, and that's where you can find our retail site. And we're going to come up with a couple things next week on how you, as their viewers, get a discount, because we love having you. We want to give you a little perk for coming, so we'll have some things set up that you can buy with a discount during or after our live broadcast. Anyway, RosetreeGallery.com is us. Facebook, we're at Rosetree Glass. Instagram, Rosetree Glass Gallery. YouTube, you can see all of our videos, Rosetree Glass Studio and Gallery. That's about it for today. Glad y'all came. As always, take care of one another, love one another. Thank y'all for being here. We'll see you on Thursday.